What's up, everybody? It's your boy Season. So today we've got another Brave review. We're gonna be taking a look at the Action Toys Brave Police JDecker. So we're gonna be taking a look at this today. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go. So let's see what we have inside. So first up, we got the manual. Already seeing Fire JDecker and Duke Fire, so I'm sure that that will be the next release. So we've got that for the manual. Looks like you've got a nice stand for Action Toys. You got the wings there for JDecker. Looks like the knee parts. He's got quite a few bit of hands here. So he's got 5 sets of hands here, and it looks like he's got an extra one there. Looks like you got the badge one for Deckerd there. So we have that. Let's see what we've got in here. And we've got, oh, that's very old school. So let's go ahead and take this off. So you've got a cover piece for Deckerd. And then here you have Deckerd. You look like you have the extra torso for JDecker there with the arm pieces. You have his rifle there with the parts that go on the front plate. And you've got the loader there for his main body and his legs, pretty much. So pretty interesting release. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take him out of the box and we're gonna see what he looks like all put together. So let's take a look at this JDecker. Now, of course, you have the minifigure, which is Deckerd. And fun fact, he's actually called Deckerd because he's based off of Deckerd from Blade Runner. So that's a little trivia for you, but I really like how he looks. Now, you may ask, why did I get this guy? Because you already have a JDecker. Well, the thing about it was mainly this little guy here. You say, why? Well, the Kotobukiya one to me is the most anime accurate of the minifigures because you have the SMP, you have the Kotobukiya, and then you have this one. And I like the Kotobukiya one the best, but that one was one that came with the max cannon, and for whatever reason, it was always very hard to find. So it was very expensive because it was one of the earlier Brave releases that they did for Kotobukiya. And then here we have the J Rotor. This is his carrier. So this looks really, really solid. And it's actually quite heavy as well. So he's definitely not a light guy. So there's plenty of die cast in here that we're looking at. So I definitely will be interested in putting him through his paces based on what I'm seeing here. But yeah, back to Deckerd. So the thing about this Deckerd, I liked this when I saw the prototype. And the thing about this guy is that he looks very accurate. Even though he's not as accurate as a Kotobukiya, he looks miles better than the SMP version because the SMP versions, a lot of time, they have to sacrifice how he looks in order for the transformation to work. This is probably the best happy medium between the other figures, and then I'll definitely be interested to see what Good Smile does, but we're definitely gonna put them through their paces. So let's see what this Deckerd can do here from an articulation standpoint. So first, with the head, he's got slight up and down, not too much there, but he can look from side to side. Let's take a look at his shoulder. Go about shoulder's length there, so that's pretty good. Let's take a look at his elbow. So he's got a decent elbow bend there, not too shabby. But for the midsection, he is on a swivel, so he can get about 45 degrees there. So not too bad. So even though he doesn't have any forward or backwards, that's not too bad there. It doesn't look like he does have some in the legs. So let's raise that up there. So he's probably got about 100 degrees, I would say. And then that's his knee there. So decent knee bend. Doesn't look the greatest though, but you do have that there. Let's take a look at his foot. Now his foot really is just this part here. So that can go up and down. You're not really gonna get any side to side or anything like that. So not too bad, I would admit, but I think it looks great. So I'm really impressed. Now I would prefer the Kotobukiya one, but I'm not really that big of a stickler for JDecker. You know, JDecker is not really my favorite design or anything, but I thought that this was a happy medium with the fact that he can transform. So actually, let's go ahead and transform him real quick. And then one more thing before we go through his transformation, he does come with his revolver as well. As you know in the show that Deckerd had a revolver. So you can put this in his hand. So you can take that out there and put that in his hand. So he's kind of got his revolver there. So I think that that's pretty cool. So he does have removable hands, or swappable hands, I should say. And then you can take this one out, and then he does have the hand that has his badge. Oops, there we go. And so he's got his badge there. So overall, I think that that is pretty cool, but he does have that. So now let's get to his transformation into his car mode. So here we have Deckerd in his car mode. Now this is based off of a Corvette C4, so that's pretty much between like late 80s, early 90s Corvette. So I think that that's pretty cool. I do like the brush gold or the chrome gold here. And you can kind of see Deckerd's head here with these side pieces there. So what it is that generally for his transformation, there is an extra piece that you have to put on. So that's really this back piece here, and then you just fold the doors over that way. Now with the feet, I actually might have, whoops. All right, so after some, some finagling, what I found is that this middle piece here, this middle piece, I guess it was glued in, and now that that has come out, it won't stay on. So that's the middle piece. Now I can take some and put that on, so I'm not as worried about that, but now it will not stay on at all. So as you see, that will come off. But what I was actually about to explain was that I actually chipped some of the paint here on one of his feet. So I don't like that either. It looks like, I don't even know if you can see that, if you can see that chip right there for the paint. So it looks like we may have some quality control issues on this guy, which is unfortunate, but I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal. But I can just kind of slide this back in there and put that together. And that's not really gonna affect much unless she's in robot mode. So I just wanted to go over that and show you guys that that is the problem that I had with him. But I think overall, he still looks really, really good. I do see, I don't know, it maybe like the paint coating, I could tell that if you're gonna be rough with this guy or you're gonna mess with him a lot, that you are gonna have to deal with some paint chipping. And that usually has to do with not putting a coat on him or that the coat was weak on it. I don't know what the issue is with that, but that kind of is a problem when you're dealing with transforming figures and just figures in general sometimes. So I don't know what the problem is with that. But now that we've got him like this, we'll go ahead and transform him into, because he is pretty much the chest of JDecker. So we'll transform him real quick and see how that looks. So here we have JDecker. Pretty much this is Keisatsu Gattai, in essence, police combination JDecker. So this is the combination of Deckerd with the J rotor. So I would say that generally speaking, it's pretty faithful to the combination in the show. And I think that they did a relatively good job. I would have liked to have seen if they had a mini Deckerd kind of like in his mouthpiece. If you've actually seen the show and how he transformed, the face actually comes up to where like normally like the vent in a Gundam would be, and then it closes around his face. So I always thought that that was pretty unique to JDecker, but I would say overall, he looks really, really good. Now his height in this combined form is pretty much 8.26 inches. So he is a nice size. He will pretty much go with the majority of the Sentinel Brave figures. He's a little bit smaller than the Good Smile ones. The Good Smile ones tend to be around 10-ish inches or so. But I would think overall, this is a pretty good replication. Now his transformation really is not that difficult. It's really just moving panels over and things like that. And I didn't really see any QC issues outside of just the Deckerd here. So I would say overall, I think he looks phenomenal if you are a fan of this design. Now for me personally, this is not my favorite design, specifically those middle shows in Brave. So JDecker, Mike Gine, and Deckerd. Those kind of three shows, those are my least favorite as far as designs for most of the Brave figures. Not that they don't have some cool ones in there, but I'm talking about the main robot. It's based off of a train, or it's based off of something that I'm just not too keen on. But I say overall, I think he looks really, really good. So what we'll do is we're going to do his articulation real quick and kind of see what his articulation is like in this combined form. For the head, he can look way up, down. He does have a little bit of side to side, but the ears can move up and down. So a lot of times when you're moving them from side to side, they will want to pop off. So just be aware of that. So unfortunately, he doesn't have a ton of side to side or neck rock there. So can he spin 360? I would say yes. It is a little tight there, but it is spinning on that ball joint there. For the shoulder, he can raise this up a little higher than shoulder's length. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So you can see how high that goes up. So that's pretty good range of motion there. Now also what you can do in order to kind of get some space around this part here is you can go in a little bit, so you can pull that out and that will come out a little bit. This is a die cast piece in here. Let's see if you can see that. And so that will kind of go in and out, so you can get some good range of motion there on the shoulder. So not too bad. For the bicep, this will go 360. So you've got a good thing there. For the elbow bend, he's got a decent elbow bend. We've seen better though. No spin at the forearm, really. You got a little bit there, but it's not gonna go all of the way. It's gotta get over that hinge for the elbow. So you get a little bit there. For the wrist, you've got down, you've got a little bit of up, a little bit of in, a little bit of out. That's on a rolling ball joint in here. So unfortunately, you're not gonna get a ton, but you've got a decent amount on the wrist. For the chest and midsection, he does have a bend here. So that is this back piece here. So he does have that. No leaning back though, he pretty much just goes to a stationary position. He does have some side to side, not a ton, and there's whatever this part is underneath the torso here, that's what's creating that rock there. So you do have that. Now I will also say that when Deckerd is in here in his transform state, he does kind of want to move around a little bit. So this part will want to move, the legs will want to move. And so even though it's locked in there, so it's not going to come out or anything, I would just be a little concerned about that, because as you can see, I can kind of spin his his chest that way, and I don't know if I like that all that much, but it's not that bad. Let's see if he can spin 360. I would say no, unless we can try to lift him up. Let's see. Nope, you're gonna get about 45 degrees on that. So it's not really wanting to move all that much. You got a little bit, but not a ton. For the waist section, he does have two front skirts that do move independently of each other. So you do that, have that. It goes out a little bit, but not too much. And it goes in a little bit. So you do have a little bit of give there. Let's take a look at the side skirts. Now the side skirt is on its own hinge in the back. This is actually the connection piece for Fire JDecker, if you know how that combination works, but it will move. So you do have it on a hinge here. So you can move that in and back. It will go up, but not a lot. I probably wouldn't stress that all that much, and it will go down a little bit, but you're not really gonna get too much out of the side skirts. And then let's take a look at the back. Now the back skirt there, mine is actually recessed in there a little bit, but it will move like that. If I can get the other skirt out like that. So these will move up and down. You do have a little bit of out, you do have a little bit of in. For the legs, let's go ahead and move up this front skirt here and see if you can move that up. So you've got maybe about, let's go ahead and move that up there. So you've got maybe about, I would say maybe about 100, between 95 and 100. So you've got a decent amount. He also does have a drop down here. So you do have a little bit of room to move that up and down. I don't know if you can see that hinge right in here. Let me see if I can point to it there. There's a hinge right in here. And so you do have a little bit of leeway, so that will go up and down like that. So you do have that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the knee. So he's got a decent knee bend. We've seen better, of course, but on a transforming figure, I don't think that this is bad. Now for the shins, these do move in and out. Okay, so you do have that. It looks like those are probably like water cannons or something. I haven't seen all of JDecker, but you do have those there. Let's take a look at the feet. Now the feet are very interesting with this guy. You can go up, you can go all the way down. You do have a little bit of rock here. You got a go rock in here, so that's pretty good. But he also has a drop down, so you can drop that down quite a bit, and you can see the die cast part in here. Now, so it's very agile, but the problem is I've noticed is that he doesn't like to stay up when you have this out like this, but you do get a little bit there. You also have the flaps here on the side, so you can move that in and out like that. So pretty good there for the ankle. and feet. So that's what we have for articulation for the combined form. I would say overall that it's pretty good. Action Toys, I think, did a really good job here. I am a little concerned about some quality control issues though, but that's mainly with just Deckerd himself. Other than that, as far as the J rotor, I think that it's solid, it's pretty thick, and it's pretty heavy. So I don't think that you'll have much problem there. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more articulation in the torso area. You can barely get to 45 degrees on there. So unless I'm doing something wrong with that, you're not gonna get that much, but you do have a decent amount in the shoulders, you got a decent amount in the legs and the knees, and the feet are actually quite good as well. So that's what we have for articulation. Now, one thing that's interesting with this JDecker is that they're doing what I consider to be called anime accurate parts. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of times when you're dealing with a transformation from like a 3D object, a lot of times you have to sacrifice its look for functionality. So we're gonna take a look at the differences between the anime accurate parts and kind of like, let's just call them the toy parts, or the transforming parts. So let's take a look at the two Deckerds first. So first on the right, we have the transforming Deckerd, and then this is the more anime accurate version here. So you will see some slight differences. So of course, if you look at this from the side, this is more like how it was in the show. So his legs would bend down, and then you would have the Brave Police insignia here on the chest part here. The interesting thing about the transformation part is that, of course, because of his transformation and the fact that this guy transforms into Deckerd, you've got a split that goes right down the center. And to me, it's an eyesore. I don't particularly like that, but I do understand why it's there, because in order to have him transform, you've got to have that. So it makes sense. Now, if you look at the anime accurate one, of course, he's not going to have that because this one can't transform. But also, if you notice, if you look at the two heads side by side, and let's go ahead and zero in on those. So if you look at the two heads, you can see that the transformation one, the head is actually a lot smaller than the anime accurate one. So, and it looks like you may have a little bit more range of motion as well. Now, of course, that looks like there's a connection piece there for that. Let's go ahead and slide that guy back in there. So you do have that. So it looks like you've got a little bit more wiggle room as far as what you can do with the neck piece here on the anime accurate JDecker. Then of course, this is the whole core block part here. Also in the show, the chest part was more angular in the anime versus in the forming style, because you can't do that in with the transformation, you just can't. So I think that the anime accurate one looks better. Now you will see this on occasion when they're doing transforming figures, depending on the company that's doing it. They will give you anime accurate parts to get more of how he looked in the anime, and I actually do appreciate that quite a bit. I actually wish they would do that a little bit more with Transformers, because there's certain figures that, just due to how they transform, if you're going to do it in a 3D plane, it's going to be very difficult to get the anime accurate look. And to me, the best case of that with Transformers is Hot Rod. Hot Rod to me has always either had a really good or a really accurate vehicle form, but then his robot mode does not look like he looked like in Transformers the movie, or vice versa. He'll have a really good robot mode, but then his vehicle mode doesn't look like it did in Transformers the movie. That's just the nature of transforming gimmicks. So you do have that for the side. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put this one in and see what he looks like. So that's what he looks like with his anime chest part. I would say that this definitely looks a lot better than the transforming one. If you look at them side by side, number one, you can just see how small this one is to this one. And I think this one just looks better. So clearly this is probably the style that I'm gonna go with. You guys know that I'm not really huge on transformations. Also, he comes with some other anime accurate parts, which are mainly the wings and the forearms. So you can pull these out. So let's go ahead and pull those out. And we could take a look at the anime accurate ones. Now, of course, because of this hook, you definitely want to make sure that you pull those directly out. You don't want to try to bend those, because you don't want those to snap on those hinges there. But these are the transformation style. Now, I want you to look at the difference between the transformation ones and the anime accurate ones. So you can definitely see the size difference. So it is a lot bigger, and I think it looks better. So let's go ahead and move the transformation ones to the side. Let's go ahead and snap these ones on here, and they should go in exactly the same way. And you want those to go directly in. You don't want to go in and try to move it around, because you definitely don't want that to snap, because if those snap, you're not going to be able to keep the wings on. But you do have that there. So you've got that. So that's how he looks with the anime accurate wings on. I think that he just looks better this way. And then also you can change out these pieces here as well. So what you'll do is you'll just take these and snap these out. They should just come out all the way. Of course, you don't want to break them, but I can see breaking it. I had to finagle that one out there. And then you can do that for the other side as well. And let's see if we can get this one out too. And I wouldn't say that he's fragile. You've definitely got that connection piece there, so it's pretty thick. But also, you know, with the amount that these things cost, you definitely don't want to, you know, go around breaking them. But so you got those out now. So this is the old one, or the transforming one. This is the new one. So of course, this one is bigger. So you do have that. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and put this one in. And it should be able to go in the exact same way. Yep, so you got those. And you got these, and that really just falls into place just like that. So now you've got the anime accurate, I guess you would call them knee guards. So you do have that. And then lastly, what you do is you can change the forearms as well. So what we'll do is we'll just pull those out just like normal. And then we'll put these on. Let's make sure I got the right one here. So just to see the size difference there. So the anime accurate one is on the right, the transformation one is on the left. So clearly that one is way bigger. So we'll put that down. Let's go ahead and put this one in just like that. Let's go ahead and do that for the other side as well. So we can pull that one out, put the new ones in just like that. And so now he's got more of his anime accurate parts on. I think he looks a lot better this way. Proportions just look way better than with the transformation parts. Not that the transformation parts are bad. You really can go with either one, but it just really depends on your personal preference. So last thoughts on this guy, the Brave Police JDecker from Action Toys. Now, this guy had been delayed for almost a year. And in the Action Toys Facebook page, they pretty much explain why this guy was delayed so much. And apparently it had to do with the articulation, specifically in the shoulders, but they wanted to get a little bit more articulation out of him, even though he transforms. And I think that they did make a really good effort in trying to do that, considering that this guy is a transformable figure and that he does have the articulation that he has, I think is very admirable from Action Toys. Now, this guy is not a small guy by any stretch of the imagination. At 8.24 inches, I think that that is a good size for this type of figure. Now, of course, we do know that we are getting the Good Smile JDecker that is coming down the line. I want to say it's probably next year, if I'm not mistaken. We have seen some promo shots and stuff of that. But I think that this Action Toys one does some things that are very good. However, I do think that it does have some issues. Number one, I think it has some quality control issues as far as having falling pieces coming off of Deckerd. I really didn't like that. I thought that that was very, very strange. And the fact that he does have some problems with his paint, whether it is that some of his paint is coming off, whether it's on the bottom of Deckard's feet, or if it has to do with, I don't know, it just is something about it to where I feel like it doesn't have a really good clear coat on there as much. Now, one thing that you will find that, especially when you're dealing with electroplated parts, is that those things are a fingerprint magnet. So you're definitely gonna need a microfiber cleaning cloth to have him looking shiny, kind of like you would really want him to do. Now, I hope that Good Smile does take heed in what Action Toys has done here as far as with the gold parts making those chrome plated. To me, Good Smile needs to do that. It just needs it. And it's more in line with the old DX toys. And I think it just gives it a little bit more pop, especially considering that the JDecker, to me, isn't really that crazy of a design. We've seen a lot crazier in the Brave franchise than this Deckard. So I think that the gold does make him pop. Another issue that I have, he has enough articulation just to be dangerous, but I still would have wanted a little bit more as far as the midsection is concerned. I think that it was kind of lacking there. Also with the elbow, maybe having the elbow slightly, I don't know about that peg in the forearm. It just seems like it's a little short. And I've noticed that a lot of those pieces want to come off. You also saw me struggle with putting the hands on him as well, as far as trying to get that to stay in place so I can really snap it on there, because it doesn't really snap very good. You know, so you kind of got to work it in there, and with that wrist articulation in there kind of moving all over the place when you're trying to do that, it does make it very difficult to get those hands, especially with the J Buster, because the J Buster is a little bit more heavy of a weapon, and so it wants to recess in there when you're trying to put it in there, and so that can be an issue. Other than that, I think his transformation is pretty solid. I do like the fact that they do give you anime accurate parts. I think that that is very, very good on Action Toys to do that, specifically because you know that you have two types of these types of fans. You have ones that love the transformation, so it has to be transformation accurate as far as what it did in the show. You have those kind of fans, and then you have fans like myself who really just want superior articulation, and I am willing to sacrifice the transformation in order to make sure that I have world-class articulation. And to me, he's a happy medium between the two. I think that they did very, very good. His transformation is solid. If you're going to have him in vehicle mode, I don't know why, but if you wanted to have him in vehicle mode, you definitely could do that. I think that there is a lot to like here with the anime accurate parts and the fact that you can swap those out. That is something else that I would kind of hope that Good Smile takes heed of, that you can have more anime accurate parts and give him a little bit more articulation, but you're gonna have to add more to it. Now, the thing about this guy, the price on this guy actually really isn't that bad. I think his MSRP generally is between like 150 and 190. That's actually not that bad for a figure of this size and for him to be able to do what he can do. So I think Action Toys did a really good job with this guy, especially considering that I had a lot of high expectations considering how good the Action Toys Voltron was. So even though he does have some problems, and I do think he probably could have taken another month or two in the oven to cook and maybe get some of those quality issues taken care of, but I think overall they did a really good job, and I'll be interested to see how he combines into Fire JDecker with Duke Fire. So I definitely am going to be interested in how they do that, but I think for a Deckard standalone, this is very, very good. So out of 10, I'm gonna give this guy an 8.3. He's very good, but he does have some problems as far as QC and some other issues that I have with him that makes him good, but not great. So I think that he does have a lot going for him, and I will definitely be interested in seeing what Action Toys does further on down the line when we get more Brave figures. Now, also, there's one thing I forgot to mention. He does not come with the Max Cannon. So I don't know if they plan on doing a separate pack for that or if we're even going to get that weapon. I would say that if you're gonna release that as a separate release, I probably would have had it in this, because that's really one of the other major weapons that JDecker has that he does not have here. So I think that getting the Max Cannon would be awesome, but I don't know how this guy's gonna sell. Also with Action Toys, it's hard to say because you don't see too much of their stuff around after its initial release. So it looks like it may be more limited than some of the other companies that we deal with, like Good Smile, who has constant re-releases and things of that nature. So as far as would I advise you to get him, it depends. I would say most people are generally holding out for the Good Smile version, but for someone like me who is maybe not a super fan of JDecker as far as the design is concerned, to me, this guy is good enough. He does what I need him to do. Even if I decide not to get Duke Fire, I still think that he's worth his price, and I think that Action Toys has done a tremendous job here. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you could like, comment, subscribe to the channel, send this one out to all of the Brave fans, all of the JDecker fans, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.